open water is a fantastic sport at any time of the year. It brings many benefits which are now well documented in printed media and across the internet. If you are starting your open water swimming experience this winter, here are a few things that are worth knowing. The weather can be unpredictable at any time of the year, but in the winter months when we are exposing our bodies to generally colder air and water temperature, it's important to be prepared for anything that the day might throw at us. Get yourself a big bag, big enough to stuff everything that you need into, preferably waterproof, just in case it rains. This can, of course, be a bin bag. Trendy, fabulous, tight-fitting clothes might look amazing in real life, but when it comes to open water swimming, lots of loose-fitting layers that are easy to pull on with cold hands are advisable. Top these clothes off with a waterproof or windproof coat or changing robe, a hat and some gloves, and you're good to go. This might sound all a little bit dramatic now you're listening to this in the warmth and coziness of your home, but trust me, when you're out there, you're going to be grateful. Part of the joy of dipping with other people is the socialising. Taking a warm drink and some food with you will help you warm up while you put the world to right once you are dry and dressed. When you arrive at your swim location, choose the most sheltered spot in which to get changed and dressed after your dip. This could be behind a bush, out of the wind, in a cave, by a wall. You might not appreciate it when you arrive at your swim spot, but you certainly will when you are dressing afterwards. When you arrive at your swim spot, it can be tempting to whip off your clothes, plonk them into a bag and run screaming towards the water. And of course, if it's raining, you will need to put your gear into a bag, but a little bit of thought to your dressing process will enable you to dress more efficiently once your swim is over. If you are putting all your gear into a bag because the day is wet, keep your loose layers at the top of your bag underneath the first thing you need to grab, which is your towel. Dry off and put on a top layer first. Once this is on, keep on layering up with the other items of clothing you have. If it's a dry day and you have space to do so, lay your clothes where you are changing so they are easy to grab after your swim and ready to put on. Sudden immersion into cold water can produce some dramatic physiological responses, like an increase in heart rate and hyperventilation. The cooling of the skin by cold water also causes an involuntary gasp for breath. This is known as the cold shock response, which is stimulated by a sudden fall in skin temperature. A wetsuit does not remove the cold shock response when you get in. As it fills with water, the wearer will still experience the cold shock response. It is after this moment that the benefits of wetsuits kick in, as the layer of water trapped between the skin and the suit warms up. It is therefore important that you enter the water slowly, allowing your body to acclimatise gradually. The faster you go in, the bigger the cold shock response. When you start open water swimming, particularly in the winter months, it can be, quite literally, shocking. But with regular dipping, it gets less so, particularly in terms of how your body reacts to the cold shock response, which will halve in intensity after around 6 immersions. After being submerged in cold water for a few minutes, you may notice your hands and feet begin to feel numb. This is quite normal. When you swim in cold water, your body limits blood circulation to your skin. This ensures more of the heat in the blood supply is moved to the deep tissues of the body, leaving the skin, hands and feet to cool to a greater extent, but insulating the core from cooling. The secret to acclimatizing to cold water is just to swim in it. Once a week is a good start, gradually extending the time you stay in the water. The 1 minute in per degree of water temperature is a good rule of thumb. 10 minutes in 10-degree water is long enough for anyone starting their cold water swimming life. So keep an eye on the time you are spending in the water, but also how your body is reacting to being in the water. Don't stay in for 10 minutes at 10 degrees because someone has told you it is safe to do so. If you don't feel comfortable after being in for 3 minutes, then get out of the water. According to Professor Mike Tipton, who is the Professor of Human and Applied Physiology at the Extreme Environments Lab at the University of Portsmouth, an adult human will not get hypothermic in the first 30 minutes of being in the water even as low as 0 degrees, as adults have too much heat stored in their bodies. But that doesn't mean to say you should stay in the water for up to 30 minutes. Get in gradually, acclimatise, have a swim around and get out, preferably before you feel uncomfortable. You may not feel cold when you get out of the water, but your body temperature continues to drop, because when you do get out, the body's cooling process doesn't just stop. The cold layer of skin and muscle continues to cool your core. This is called conductive cooling, and this can bring on shivering. So you may feel colder 10 to 40 minutes after your swim than you did when you were actually in the water. This is known as the afterdrop. To minimise the severity of the afterdrop, dress as soon as you get out of the water. Dry off and get into those lovely loose layers I mentioned earlier. Standing on something that keeps your feet off the cold ground also prevents you losing more heat from your feet. Old doormat, neoprene changing mat, yoga mat, all work just fine. When dressed and comfy, sip a warm drink and eat something. The warm drink will help you warm up from the inside, and eating something raises your body temperature. A hot water bottle can also be a glorious addition to your swim bag. Wrapping one up in your towel before you go in results in a little bit of joy when you come out. Walking around and jigging about a little can also help you warm up when you are enjoying your post-swim drink and snack. What you wear is entirely up to you. Wetsuit, swimsuit, trunks, bikini, woolly hat, neoprene hat, gloves, booties, beach shoes. All up to you. Don't let anyone bully you into wearing something that doesn't make you happy. From the point of view of being seen in the water, a brightly coloured hat is a good thing, as is having a bright tow float or tow bag attached to you. Tow bags also have the added bonus of housing your car keys and wallet or purse. And if swimming in the darker evenings, you can pop a torch into the bag so it glows in the dark. To swim or not to swim? Well, basically don't be a tit about it. If anything about your swim spot doesn't feel right to you or look right to you, don't go in. If someone posts a swim on your group saying they are swimming at Da-de-da Beach, they are telling you that they are swimming there at whatever time and you are welcome to join them. If you choose to go along to any swim, do not assume that everyone else there has assessed the water conditions, checked the weather, knows there is a phone signal, knows the exact location of the swim spot. Never assume anything. Find out for yourself and decide whether or not this is a good or safe place to swim on this day at this time in these weather conditions. If people decide to swim, it is their choice. If you decide not to, then equally it is your choice not to. No one will think any less of you for making that decision. In fact, any open water swimmer worth their salt will admire you for your decision. Also, if you decide to swim and then change your mind for whatever reason, that's your choice and you will be held in high regard by other swimmers. It matters not what others are doing, you make the call that is right for you. Get as much information as you can about your chosen swim spot. Find a local swim group or ask local swimmers about it. Preferably never swim alone. It's much more fun in company, but it's also useful to have someone with you should you need assistance of any kind, and not necessarily just in an emergency. Having someone with you to share the joy, lend you an encouraging, helpful hand, or even pop your coat on after the swim can sometimes be very beneficial. Tell someone where you are going swimming and then let them know when you are home. Learn how to identify your swim location using an app. This is useful should you ever need to tell someone your precise location in an emergency. Be aware of the physical sensations you experience while swimming. Get to know how your body responds in different air and water temperatures, different times of the day, different times of the month, depending on what you have eaten, how much sleep you've had, etc. This is all fun and interesting stuff, and you will be learning great things about yourself and your body and the amazing things you and it are capable of. Have fun, don't be a tit, be a Bluetit. Go out there and enjoy the wonderful experience that cold water swimming and dipping can bring. You will find much more detailed scientific information about cold water immersion by watching a webinar by Professor Mike Tipton entitled Tipton's Top Tips for Tits, which you can find on the Bluetits website underneath this video, along with many other information edits that we have created.